those cornichons, the caper here now. And again, caper is one of those things. Remember, capers are very salty, as well as the cornichons. So you may want to leave your mayonnaise if you're making these sauces with less salt than you would use if you were just using it as a mayonnaise to make a sandwich with, for example. Minced chives, chopped parsley, chopped tarragon. I love tarragon. I love the anise flavor of it. It really gives it a boost in flavors. And then, of course, our favorite onion, or the French's favorite onion, is a minced shallot. Mayonnaise, certainly one of my favorite condiments. You know, when I think about the person who first made mayonnaise, I mean, the French must have been just ecstatic to have something that's so wonderful, so versatile, so dynamic, so flavorful. It's just one of those things that we enjoy so much, and we use it in so many different ways. We make remoulade sauce with it, which I'm going to do today. We make a Dijonnaise sauce, aioli, ranch dressing, green goddess dressing. You know, so many of those dressings that we know, ranch dressing. Caesar salad is a form of a mayonnaise. So it's really something that we kind of don't realize how far it's reached into our repertoire until we start to think about it and start to prepare different dishes. So I'm going to do a very simple mayonnaise for you today, using some of the basic ingredients, and then we'll turn that into a remoulade sauce. Of course, you know, beginning with an egg yolk is really where we have to start with our mayonnaise. So we're going to crack our egg here, and we're going to just separate that yolk from the white. Now, how fresh that egg is. Okay, and then there's this little white string, which is called a chalaise. So we just want to separate that by breaking that off of there as well. Okay. Put that yolk in our bowl. There we go. And then I'm gonna make a little kind of stand for our bowl so it doesn't move around on us. And this is very simple to do. We'll just wrap it around. Right? It's a damp kitchen towel. Okay, so that just gives us a little place to work from. Take our whisk. Okay. We're gonna start just with a little Dijon mustard, which is traditional in our egg. Or in our mayonnaise. Okay, it helps. You don't need it, but it helps with the original emulsification. The egg yolk will absorb and emulsify with the oil without the Dijon mustard. But again, from a flavor profile point of view, in a mayonnaise, we have a little bit of Dijonnaise. So we have our canola oil here, or again, any vegetable oil with neutral flavor. We don't want to add any flavor to it, although we can. If we want our mayonnaise made with olive oil and taste like olive oil, we certainly can do that. We can use any oil we want. We'll later learn how to make a hollandaise sauce, which is basically a mayonnaise but hot, using clarified butter. Now, Harold McGee introduced my generation to the science in cooking. He wrote on food and cooking, and so as Harold McGee says, the amount of oil or fat that a yolk will take is almost infinite, as long as you can maintain the right amount of moisture or the right amount of water to help bind the proteins in the yolk with the oil. So in other words, as it starts to get really thick, we're going to start to add a liquid here. And we can add 3 different liquids. Certainly vinegar is one we can use. And that again enhances flavor. We can add water. To begin to start to thin that out so we can continue to add more oil. What is the viscosity or what is the texture you're looking for? It really depends on what you're making. So this is an example of a commercially made mayonnaise, and it's extremely tight. Even by doing that, it's hard to get it to become even. This, depending on the sauce that you want to make, and depending on what you're putting in it afterwards, will help you define what that viscosity is that you want. How thick do you want it for mayonnaise? Again, you know, the commercial is a great example to work to. We like to spread it on bread typically. We like to make dressings with it. So getting it that thick may be what you're looking for. The quantity of oil or the speed of which you add your oil can increase as your volume increases, okay? I'm gonna put a little bit of lemon juice in here this time. Get that seed out there, yeah. Again, lemon juice is gonna add flavor, but also the acid. The acid continues to help bind the fats with the protein. So. Now, if I wanted to be really safe to make sure I didn't get any seeds, I'd put it through our tool of refinement here. Continue. So we're building flavors. Cooking is really about building flavors. So you're actually, you know, if you will, building a house. You don't really see all of the elements, all the materials that are in your wall, but we're building that together. Just continue that. So if this separates, or as we call it, as we would say in a kitchen, if it breaks, it means the oil has overwhelmed the protein in it, and you could just start by taking a little bit of mustard in a separate bowl and start to re-emulsify into that new bowl, using the mustard as the binding agent to help re-emulsify it. If you're careful, you should never break your mayonnaise. And it's a fairly simple technique. It requires a little bit of time, a little bit of patience, and of course being aware of what you're doing. So I'm going to continue to add liquid to it. So we have vinegar, lemon juice, water, whatever we want as we continue to move through the process of adding oil to our yolks. I still haven't tasted it because I know that I'm going to get more oil into it. So I know that the amount of acid that I have in there is not really going to affect the flavor at this point. It's only helping the emulsification process. Because we're going to get to adding salt, we're going to finalize the seasoning. We may add a little more mustard at the end. Just again, depends on what we want. As all of the recipes, they're going to be always in our workbook. So, you know, certainly refer to that to get the exact proportions. It's really looking beautiful. It'll start to blanch out as well, or become white or whiter. It'll never be as white as a commercially made mayonnaise. And it's just one yolk will absorb so much fat. I may even run out of oil here. I can keep going and keep going. You really can, you stop adding your oil when you get to the viscosity that you want. But again, if I continue to add liquids to that, I can continue to add more and more and more and more oil. So when do you know when to stop? When you have the quantity that you want, or the thickness, the viscosity that you want. It's getting thicker now, it's getting harder to. So now I'm gonna taste it, because now I wanna start to season. So you can see there how it's holding peaks. See, I'm not really tasting any of the acid yet. I don't really taste the mustard. I'm gonna add some salt. Now, salt's a very tricky thing. Most chefs have a high tolerance to salt. So for me, I'm going to put much more salt in it than maybe you would. So again, it's one of those personal flavor profiles or personal preferences that you have and how much salt you add. So just continue to taste as you go, making sure that it doesn't become too salty. The one thing you can do with mayonnaise, if it becomes too salty, you can just continue to add more oil. So I've gone through almost all of that oil. I'm going to get all of this oil into this mayonnaise. And then I'm going to finish it with by seasoning it with a little bit of the acid. I'm not going to add any more water to it because the only reason I add water to it is to thin it out. And at this point, I don't want to thin it out. So we continue that, and it's getting thicker and thicker and thicker. So I really like that. Just a drop of oil left. I'm going to get that in there. Now I can continue to go with more oil, but this is really nice as it is. Makes a beautiful mayonnaise. Oh, look at that. Perfect. Well, almost. Let me taste it, make sure we got the seasoning correct. Add a little more acid. Yeah, drop. And our mayonnaise. So we're gonna make a remoulade sauce, which is a traditional sauce that's in France using herbs. We have chopped parsley, minced chives, chopped tarragon, chopped shallots, chopped capers, and finally, chopped cornichons and chopped capers. This is a classic French sauce, but remember, there are so many traditional sauces that begin with mayonnaise. Almost any dressing that is creamy in style begins with a mayonnaise. Those cornichons, the caper here now. And again, caper is one of those things. Remember, capers are very salty, as well as the cornichons. So you may want to leave your mayonnaise if you're making these sauces with less salt than you would use if you were just using it as a mayonnaise to make a sandwich with, for example. Minced chives, chopped parsley, chopped tarragon. I love tarragon. I love the anise flavor of it. It really gives it a boost in flavors. And then, of course, our favorite onion, or the French's favorite onion, is a minced shallot. And we always use fresh herbs, and herbs, over the past decades have become so accessible in our grocery store. So don't hesitate. And this is a very specific herb blend, but you can use almost any herbs that you want. If you want to make a basil mayonnaise, you can use basil in it. Tartar sauce, one of my favorite accompaniments for fish, for fried fish, is made with a mayonnaise base. Yeah, don't really ever substitute dry herbs for fresh herbs. It's just not the same. I would prefer you not making the recipe rather than substituting dried herbs. And there we go. Freshly made remoulade sauce in a jiffy, making a base of mayonnaise. I mean, what can you use this sauce for? Almost anything. It would go great on any sandwich that you make. It would go great with a beautiful roasted chicken breast or roast chicken as a side sauce or a side garnish. Again, fish, You can thin it out and dress your greens in it. So you can have a vinaigrette out of this, adding a little more vinegar to it, and making a salad with it. Eggs, which we're talking about, mix this with a little bit of egg salad. I mean, that would be a great way to make egg salad. So it's really limitless in what you can do with mayonnaise and what you can do with the sauces that we're going to make from mayonnaise. You can do with the eggplant or the garlic, using it in a pasta is a wonderful way to use confit of eggplant. Garnishing any proteins, puree.